Hello and welcome to Stampscapes Friday Night Live. I just have time for a quick card today. So, I just grabbed this piece of the blue holographic cardstock, which seems to be out of stock at this moment. I just checked online, checking out the link, and I think they've been out of it for a while, so I don't know if it's just completely out of stock or never to be replenished or what. I would imagine they'll get it back in stock, but who knows these days in the paper industry. There's so many different changes going on. It's the same type of stock that comes in a multi-pack of different colors. This one is just the straight red. There's a red pack of it. And then this gold pack has different tones in it, and this one's kind of cool too. And I went with the multicolored pack initially because that's what I saw being used in one of the Nancy Stamp's channel Stamp Wars events, and I really liked it. It was super dynamic, and I just love the patterning of it. And then I thought, oh, I like this so much. I'm going to try out the blue tone, and the blue tone has this really deep, kind of mysterious look to it just because of the tones and, the different color patterning in it. And I love it. So hopefully it gets back in stock at some point in time. Hello, Bugs. And hello, Glenda. Good to see you. What brand of holographic sticker paper have you been using? Bugs, they're all in the description section with complete links to everything that I've been using. So it just depends on which one you're referring to. Sometimes it's the You Ink It, and sometimes it's the Koala. I'd imagine the printable holographic vinyl sticker papers. I would imagine they're all pretty good. And I'm guessing there aren't more than a couple different companies making those types of papers out there. There doesn't seem to be dozens of different patterns. I'm guessing, from what I've seen, I'm guessing there have been, I don't know, maybe a dozen different, patterns to it. So like I said, I have a feeling they're coming out of the same factory. I don't know. For sure, I have like this one starry looking one like this. This is the koala one. And the patterning is slightly different on the You Ink It pack, that also has this really cool kind of, I don't know what I would call it, like, sequins or, not really glitter, but I don't know. They're all a little bit different. But like I said, I have a feeling they're all pretty good. So if you just look up that, you can see the different kinds of configurations. Now, for me, these types of papers like this, I mean, it comes down to price. It's price and effectiveness. I mean, but like I said, they all seem to be about the same to me. So I don't know. I don't really worry about that too much with these different types of brands and stuff that I see out there. Okay, so that's one right here. Like I said in my little intro, which you guys probably missed because I just said that right at the beginning, but I just have time for a really quick card tonight, so these types of mirror cards like this, the reflection cards, they're really fast to do because there's not a lot of coloring that really you can do on them. You can use white ink and it'll show up, and you can use black ink. You can't really color these with, transparent dyes or alcohol inks, and certainly not colored pencils on this type of surface right here. Silver cardstock, by the way, if people haven't seen these before, and this is the holographic cardstock. Okay, now this one is not the printable vinyl, okay? It's just holographic cardstock, okay? And what this is these are 2 quarter-page pieces right here. And I just have them tape mounted or whatever, glue runner or whatever, tape runners or whatever, onto a half-page piece of black. You can do this also in, a white piece of paper or something like that. But if you merge, two pieces of paper like this down cardstocks in order to make these reflection cards, one of the things that I would recommend is take like a Sharpie pen or something like that and write in the seam. I'm talking about if it's not black, okay, or a dark piece of paper. Just do a line right down the center there so that when you merge these two together, see, like right there, if that was white right there, it kind of breaks the illusion of this being kind of where sky meets water or wherever. If this is the landmass up here, it would be, grasses and stuff like that. But you don't want to have this big white line in the middle. Even if it's like a 1/16 of an inch, it really shows up. So just do a quick line down there with black, and then it's, it looks more seamless that way, okay? Now, this right here, being that it's the holographic up here, I tend to, see this as being sky right here as opposed to a whole scene like that. So, real simple construction like that. And like I said, these cards are like super fun and fast and easy to do and super, I just find them really dynamic. Hello, Beth, CM Hawkins. Happy Toby? Is it Toby or Tobe here? I love that name. That's cool. Watching the beautiful compositions. Glad they come in handy for you. And thanks so much for, checking them out and saying hello here. All right. So here's my idea here. Quick composition. This is going to be where surface meets sky. So this will be a body of water down here. I'm going to add in some foreground in here, but we'll have a couple different islands in here. But one of the things about holographics, a lot of the dynamic, attention-getting elements are already inherently in the paper itself, okay? Now this type of paper right here is about, not to get all totally practical or anything like that, but these pieces of paper like this are about, they're about 50 cents each or something like that. So you divide that up between, 4 pieces, right? So what is that? 12, I don't know, 12 cents or something like that for the up here. And these sheets right here come in a 60 pack for like, $18, I think, or something like that. So, these are really super inexpensive, these silver card stocks right here, in the pack that I use at least. So in a way, you're really doubling, this kind of, you know what I mean? I mean, it's not super expensive or anything like that, but, you're kind of doubling the effect of it. And plus, it's a lot more dynamic too. So there's already kind of motion to this upper area here in the holographic, right? But when you pair it up with this mirrored section like this, it's kind of interesting to me when I first saw this, a couple months ago. But these two don't match up. It's not like this is reflecting directly down in that mirrored area. And I think it's because this is reflecting down into here, but then this is also reflecting back up in there. So I don't know, you get all this kind of bending of light. It looks like one of those little kaleidoscopes to me or something like that you kind of spin around with your eye. All right, so that being said, we're just going to keep this really simple on top of here. I mean, we're not just going to send out a card like this. I mean, I guess you can put like, some sort of word stamp up here or something like that. That would be kind of cool or whatnot and have it reflect down here. But this is scenic stamping. This is Stampscapes channel, so I'm just going to be stamping out some silhouettes in here. I guess we could put some islands up here, but this is really more indicative of a horizon line right here. Or an area, like I said, if it was grasses and a meadow up here, then this would be a pond. So it's where the edge of your body of water meets, whatever elements you have up top there like that. And like I said, this is a holographic piece, so I tend to see this as sky. It just seems to make sense. Okay, so that being said, on these types of surface like this, you just have to have some media that's going to dry on here and preferably adhere. The Brilliance pigment will dry on this type of cardstock. I guess you can use alcohol inks, but they're just not going to show up really because they're transparent, and putting them over that. So again, we're going back to white and black you know, and reasonably, with reasonable opacity, okay? With something like brilliance inks, these are designed to dry on non-porous surfaces, but you're just going to have to spray seal it because those don't adhere on here. You can put that on here and it'll dry, but you can just wipe it right off even after it dries. And I do that sometimes because I need some kind of medium that I can blend in and do, different types of effects like with clouds or something like that. Maybe I'll do it a little bit on here. But the StazOn will dry and adhere, okay? So play around with that, sometimes some people get different types of supplies and they'll say, hey, I tried whatever. I tried the Brilliance ink on my cardstock and it didn't dry or something like that. So I'm not really quite sure what brand of things that they've used. I think I've asked, but I've forgotten. But I don't know. You just have to kind of play around with it. Get a little scrap piece and try out some different inks on it. Now, you don't have to worry about the printable holographic vinyls. Those seem to take just about everything. But like I said, some people have had kind of a slower drying time. And I have a feeling that it's a slower drying time. Or they didn't use water-based media on the printable vinyls, okay? Underneath these videos, I always have what I used on here. So if there's any question about it, just look in the the description section, which I add on after I do these videos. Not a lot of times I don't do it during the live because I don't know what I'm going to be using when I press the go live button. I'm making it up on the fly. So, all right, so that is my little island down here, and I just remembered from doing that right now that with this StazOn on this right here, I think I have to lift it up faster because it didn't it dried, I think. The StazOn dries really fast. And as I peeled it off, I think it peeled off a lot of that ink on here. So go a little bit faster, okay? And if you need to, fill in. Okay, so these couple islands are up on the horizon like that. You can see like down there, it didn't, I forgot what it was. Maybe I had to hold it on longer or something like that, okay? So I'll make them more opaque though. I'll just paint that in there, okay? So there's my little islands right there, and that one's reflecting down here because it's on that surface like that. But we're gonna fill in here with some more of these in different shapes and sizes. All right. So let's see how this goes here. If you don't do some, I'm using so many different medias and techniques and combinations of media. Sometimes I forget these little things until I do it. Because I haven't watched my videos. I need to watch my videos again or something like that. All right. Going on the silver right here. You have to get a little bit of the feel of using inks sometimes on these metallic foils like this, or the strictly non-porous surfaces like this, because one of the things, and like I mention in my classes all the time in the foil class, when you're stamping down like this, it's easy to kind of move it like that because there's a lot of wet ink underneath that, and it's not absorbing or it's not absorbing through the surface like that, so it's staying wet like that, so it's easy to kind of move it around a little bit like that, even kind of minutely, which is kind of fine. You just don't want to move it by like 1/8 of an inch or anything like that because then it looks like a little bit of a smear, which it happens to me all the time, okay? Especially when I'm stamping things out in the Brilliance ink, because the Brilliance ink is a pigment ink and it's a lot thicker than your solvent-based, StazOn or whatever archival ink that you're using. Okay, using a smaller island right here. I'm kind of making it look like I almost skewed it right there. I'm making like a little inlet right here, like a little channel or something like that, with some channel islands here. A little bit of it here. So it's kind of like that. I'll show you what it looks like if I can. It's hard to show you. That's what I'm doing. Maybe that doesn't make for a really great live demo. It's hard to photograph these things because they're mirrors, basically. Okay, so those are the islands right there. And I'm going to put some trees down here. Maybe I should do that right now is to get my bearings on where those are going to be so I can see if I can place another island or something like that in there. But there we go, like that. That's what it's going to be looking like in the end result when people are looking at this. Hopefully it gives, a nice kind of three-dimensional look. I need to fill in there a little bit and get that a little bit more solid. And I might give these islands a little bit of a shadow underneath them like that with some black pigment ink. Okay, now the reason why I'm not just using the Brilliance Black, which I used to do, okay, I mean, I still might do it, but when you're spray sealing on this silver stock like this, it's really quite mirrored for a silver cardstock, right, as is. But when you spray seal it, it gets a little bit frosted and it's a little bit less reflective, okay? Which, I mean, you might use to some kind of, strategic, purpose at some point in time if you don't want it so mirrored and you just want kind of the essence of this reflecting down in here. But I like to have it as mirrored as possible most of the time. All right. So that being said, you just want to spray seal very lightly with your acrylic sprays. I definitely would try to avoid kind of a double spraying over the top of it. And I only spray where images are. So if I have this whole area open without any kind of imagery, I just spray the perimeter like that. Okay, but I do that on the Brilliance inks. If I'm just using all StazOn, I don't have to worry about that at all. And I didn't used to use StazOn ink doing these types of things because I didn't feel like cleaning, but I've found out that, I don't know, I find that cleaning StazOn off the rubber is no problem. It comes right off for me, even with water. Hello, Candy. Keep an eye out for the discounts on silver paper. I don't know how much it is, but I bought my first pack a couple years ago, and it might have been like $17, and for 60 sheets, that was amazing, I felt. And I thought that, over the last like 2 years, paper, pulp, raw materials have been going up in price so much. So I expected I got a piece of hair on that stamp right there, I think. I expected to log on and to see that 60 pack for like $30, which I think would even be, a pretty good deal even so. But I don't know, the latest price that I saw was it was like $18 or something like that. It went like $2 or something like that. Where a lot of card stocks and everything like that have gone up, even copy paper, like, I don't know if it's gone up double, but like a lot more. All right, so Pines and Rocks, these are going to be my near images to create some distance on here. Okay. All right, so you see that right there. Okay, there we go. And I'll do another one over here, and we'll leave the center open for kind of a visual entry point. Yeah, maybe not a great... It's a great project. Very hard to show you guys exactly what this is looking like, because of that reflective type of property. If you ever, do these types of cards, and a lot of times people are setting up their piece to take a photograph of, if they're taking it, posting it like on Facebook or whatever, and they just can't get themselves out, their faces in the, picture or something like that, so they can't, they're saying it's really hard to get a photograph of it, but just hold it in your hand, you know what I mean? Have your hand in the photo. That's what I do. And then you can get the angle that you want, when you're taking your picture. All right. It's like that. Okay. And you have those islands out there in the distance. Let me see. Let me change the exposure here a little bit too. I'll jack up the exposure like extreme like that. Okay, this is all washed out right here, but this is pretty much how it looks in person here. It's because, my camera's trying to expose, but this mirror here is like reflecting all the light right back up in the lens, so it's kind of, under exposing here. But that's, pretty much what it looks like right there. In person, this value of light and dark within the holographic cardstock there. Okay, so let's see here. Let's do a little repair work on here. On some of these islands, since they're solid types of things, you get a little bit of that fisheye going on. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to take a Q-tip right here. It looks like I've done it before. It might be the same one that I've done it before on a different piece. But I'm just going to use this as my little brush. And we'll go in here and we'll just fill this in a little bit. This. Okay. You can almost go in there and do it with a Sharpie pen too, because it's the same type of thing. Those Sharpie pens are like a solvent ink in them. Those permanent inks. Okay, that filled that in. You have to work pretty fast here because this is like, I'll go like this, and by the time I'm over there, it's practically dry on my cotton tip. I really shouldn't be touching this right here with my fingers because my fingers are, have that little oil to them. So I get... One thing about these cards, you get a lot of your fingerprints all over them, and you kind of have to wipe them off after. Because it's like holding a mirror. So if you're sending it out to someone, give it a once over or something like that, with just a soft rag or something like that. I was just using my shirt right here earlier. It's like everything I touch, or I don't know, I could be handling this, with like this instead, which is probably wise. Sometimes when you end up kind of buffing this so many times over that, you give it those little fine kind of, hairline kind of scratches in it, I think. Not that these cards are fragile or anything like that. It's not like that, All right, we have solid masses and opacity here. It might be kind of interesting. I don't know. Well, no. I was going to say if we add like little shadow work down here, with like an alcohol pen, but just the alcohol pen, you just can't touch the the impressions because that alcohol would dissolve solvent ink on there. I don't know. You might what I was saying, like adding a little bit of shadow work down there, where it's not opaque but it's a little bit more see-through. That might be kind of interesting, around the base of the islands like that. You can use Brilliance ink too, maybe. And as long as someone's not like wiping their finger down like that, I can't see anyone doing that unless you're sending it out to a kid or something like that. But it shouldn't be too much of a problem. If you send it out to another card maker, they're not going to be like wiping away a little shadow work down there with the a thin layer of black Brilliance ink or something of that sort. But let's see here. Let's give it a little bit of a visual anchor point. If we're going to be able to see this little kayaker or something like that, but something in the water, like a boat or sailboat in here would be kind of cool. You can leave things kind of sparse, like, and add like a quote stamp down here too. If you haven't seen me do these before, you can add quote stamps up here too, which would be really cool. I don't like to add like a word stamp too low on here though, because that reflects right down in this action right here. Okay. And then you would get this kind of upside down word or, in that water area. So if you do it high enough, like up here, whatever, Northern Lights or something, you know what I mean? That part reflects down here, but you get these trees that are blocking it out. So it would look like this word stamp is hovering up there in space. It looks like it's suspended, which is really cool on the holographics. I like it down here in the water, though, too. Holographics down in the water, because it looks like it's floating on the surface of that water like that. Let's add this little focal point down here and add a little bit of more kind of visual interest to the piece. Look at this. This basically even looks kind of cool like this, opened up where it's not reflecting down here, because this is like the water, and this is, the sky up top. Chances are you'd have that reflecting in the water a little bit, but, it's still kind of cool like that now that I look at this. All right, so kayaker. And I'm just using this because this is like the image that, the stamp that was like right here on my table. I don't want to have this too far up here, this kayaker. If I did, what we'd be saying is these little mounds sticking out are just like a little, mound out in the middle of the water like that, a little bit of an exposed, I don't know, what, a ridge of dirt or something, a rock or something like that. If I stamp this a little bit lower down here, then those would represent, kind of, potentially larger islands or whatnot. We can put little trees up on those too. Maybe if I have one of my little pine tree stamps, I'll do that. Okay, let's see. Act a little bit faster. Don't move the kayak. I don't want to skew that kayaker down there. All right, that being said, and there's Linda on here tonight. Linda B, she has done these, and she said, StazOn on the foils and whatnot. If you get an image that, kind of moved on you or blurred, StazOn cleaner just wiped it right off for her, so you can always do that. Which is good to know. If you have StazOn cleaner, which I don't. Which I need to get, because I'm, if I'm going to be using StazOn all the time, you probably should. All right, so that's what that looks like right there. I'm going to add some more things up here, but I'll show you what I did before and what I'm going to do now. But okay, so what I used to do before, and I love it. If you've seen a lot of my videos, I'm using this all the time here. With a old toothbrush, and I do a little splatter painting of stars up here. But I'm finding that on this paper right here, I don't think I like as much of that up there as I do on cardstocks and some other types of papers. So I'm just going to add my stars up here just by hand, okay? And I tell you what, the brighter ones tend to look a little bit closer to us, and darker objects look a little bit farther back. So we have options here in terms of different values of blue, and I'm going to stick with the blue because this is a, blue tone scene for the most part. I guess it's a little bit bluish green here. So different color acrylic paint pens, okay? These are the Artistro 0.7 millimeter acrylic paint pens, okay? And we'll add in some stars up here. Yeah, let's see how that goes. I don't remember if I've done that before or not. In different tones on this paper, okay? The packs of this paper too, it wasn't all this paper, okay? It came in a multi-pack of like 3 or 4 different patterns, okay? And this is the one that looked like, I don't know, like a Northern Light type of thing to me. I need to use some of those other metallics that came with that, but this one's definitely the most dynamic, though. I'd like to get a pack of just this one right here, or at least maybe 2 different patterns or something like that. Yeah. Let's see who's joined on here. Hello, Nicole. 7:50 a.m. Wow. Yeah, I'm usually on a little bit later, so early. This is like your wake-up call, Nicole. I don't know. Maybe you've been up for a couple hours. Hello, Crimson Rose. Hello, Froggy Fresh. Use a cardstock holder paper. No fingerprints. That's a good idea. Just anything. Huh. Not my, like, smudgy, my smudgy, goopy, inky fingers, you know. Anything but that. A triangle. Oh. I used to use my triangles, my plastic triangles for... Okay, I've been shaking this up for a while. I want this to be really opaque, okay? Sometimes I don't shake these up so much, you know, because I'm doing it on different types of papers or something like that. But this one, where these little stars are going to be competing with so much patterning on there, you know, I think, you know, reasonable opacity to this, so... Acrylic paint pens, you always got to shake it up, and I think that's the thing that keeps them from clogging as well. You know, they really separate fast. They're kind of watery, but that watery kind of characteristic of them is also the thing that keeps them from clogging on us. All right. I've recently used a oil-based acrylic paint pen that I wanted to test, and I'm pretty sure I need to work with it a little bit more, but I think the white one clogged on me. All right, so I don't know if that says something about the oil-based paint pens in general, or if it's just that one pen, or if it's that whole brand. I don't know. So I'll do some more testing with that, but I was hoping that with the oil-based ones, it would be a little bit more opaque and kind of a shinier dot. You know, these acrylic ones are kind of more of a flat application dot. You know, not completely flat, but flatter. Okay, so anyways, going in, and I always say you know, just go crazy with stuff, but on this one right here, I might use a little bit less, you know, after I've gotten done with some of my pieces. Not to say that I think that is a good idea to do, but when you're testing something out, I just say go, you know, if you don't know about the kind of the ideal application amount of some medium, number of stamps, whatever, I'd say go crazy, you know, because if you're always kind of holding back, kind of saying, oh, wait, but if I add this, will it ruin it? You know, just, I don't know, have something as a test run or something like that, especially when it's a new type of medium like that. Okay, so see those little stars in there? They are about I don't know, maybe like a 5%, you know, blue. Kind of, you know what I mean? They're not real dark or anything like that, but... oh, kind of baby blue, something like that. Okay, so that being said, as I'm mentioning that, let's go with a little bit of a darker one like that. I think that would show up in this darker area, but not in the darker area. I think in the light areas it would look like a dark dot. Not necessarily, you know, I don't necessarily want that. You can't control where those lights and darks are going to be because it just depends on what, you know, light is reflecting in there. But I think this might be interesting. Let's just go, you know, it's like I said, you know, we're testing things out right here on this card. So let's go with some of these darker ones and see if we can get a little bit of a added depth within our kind of Milky Way here. I'm putting it at a little bit of an angle like that so it looks like the Milky Way, maybe. All right, so I don't know how many dots that was. 10, something like that. So see, we have some of those dots that look, I think the darker ones look a little bit more recessed, you know, so you know what I mean? I can't wait to see what the white looks like on here. Okay, these two right here, I'm going to leave this one out right here because I'm going to be using white anyway, and there's not very much of a value change between these two. But here, let's go with this one. This one has a little bit of a temperature change like this, and it matches the greenish blue tinge up there. Alcohol wipes take StazOn off. That's great to know too, Froggy Fresh. I like the idea of that better, I think. You know, in theory. Alcohol wipes, are they pretty soft? They're not going to scratch this, right? And if people, okay, so if we're using you see that dot right there? How much brighter it is? So if we're using StazOn, I didn't ask Linda, so if I'm using a StazOn remover, what would you put it on? Like a cotton ball or something like that to remove? Let's say I wanted to remove this whole tree in here. What would you put that on to apply it? We don't want to on anything abrasive, of course. Yeah, like a cotton ball or something. Yeah, see those stars like that? I think we're getting a little bit of good depth in the sky. See, there's stars like that too. To me, it looks like the lights are in front of the stars. So the stars look like they're in back, huh? Like they should be, I guess, even though the stars are, right there on the surface like that. But see, it gives it that nice kind of illusion. There, it looks like the lights are behind the stars like that. But when you're, in true viewing position, actually, maybe the darker ones look like they're in back, and then the brighter ones are in front of. I don't know. When I put that light in front of, I don't know. They're changing positions. My eyes, it it'll make you go dizzy. Some people couldn't work on this, they said, or on some of those other types of papers. Okay, here comes the white right here. In theory, the should be, unless this pen here is a little bit more translucent where the colors are showing through. This white one right here should be the lightest and create the most amount of contrast. So you can make larger stars or smaller stars. Okay, this is where I'm going to put on the brakes a little bit. Because I love adding stars to things like that, but I think that looks kind of a little bit more effective that way, don't you? You know what I mean? So when I did the splatter painting, it was just all over in there. But I think that just that hanging kind of ribbon of stars up there is really fun like that. And look at that. So this is what's fun right here too. You give a card to someone, and I'll put like a quote stamp right here or something like that. People always want to know, hey, wait, if I'm doing that, what do we put on this outside? Well, on the outside, one of the things you could do, which might be interesting. What time is it right now? I got to leave in a couple minutes, but you could do something that might be kind of interesting is to stamp this in like a white ink right here, and then you can put a little quote stamp or something there. Say you can put your stuff that you would put inside on the outside. That's just, happy birthday, or something like that. And you could put like a white tree right here. And then when they open it like this, you have those trees positioned like that. So it's like you go from like a reverse impression of those types of things. I'm just saying that for an example. And then you get this. But this is what's really fun about this. See, that's like when they see this like this, it's definitely it's lights in motion. It's almost like, to me, like you've had some kind of battery operated, it's like a lava lamp or something like that you're opening up. And look at this right here. Isn't that insane? And it's just so easy to do. Some people tell me, like, when I show a photograph of something like this on Facebook, if they didn't see it done, I don't know, they think that you're having to create this in their mind, you know what I mean? Rather than it just being on the paper. Up here, what do we have? We have 2 impressions that I even had to fill in with the island. And down here, it's, what is it? Like 3 impressions, with the same stamp right there. These 2 right here and this right here. And it makes for a super dynamic card, I feel. It's like a card in motion that's always changing. It's not even like the same pattern or whatnot. It just depends on what lighting you have on there. Which is fun. A few little dots, right? And there's another light source right there. Look at that. It created that look like that. Someone told me they're called light pillars. I think I forgot about this. See, I forgot all about this. And then there's a different kind of, I don't know, what do you call it? Refraction or whatever? With the different light on there like that. Okay, it's coming back to me. I forgot all about that other light. I just flipped on another LED light in the background. The other lights that I have in my studio here are kind of diffused. So it spreads the light evenly like that. But, yeah. We had a weird sunset. Let me see here. Um, where is it? We had a weird sunset last night. Started off pinks and golds with gray rain clouds. I'm picturing that in my head here. It's pink and golds. Then the clouds turned black with dark red highlights with a sliver of a moon. That sounds really cool. That sounds like, was that then, that was in was that after sunset? Was that after the sun went below the horizon? That's what that reminds me of, like that. That's my favorite time of day. My favorite time. I love sunsets and everything like that, but I really like twilight. I don't know. I don't know. The other colors of this pattern sometimes remind me of twilight. You get those deeper kind of colors after the sun just goes like right below the horizon sometimes, like the deep saturated tones. Sometimes I've seen like green tones too, which is really amazing. I haven't seen those colors in a long time though, but I love seeing unusual types of sky colors. Okay, so Froggy Fresh alcohol wipes, yours are soft. I'm getting some of those. Hello, Verna. Are used 91% alcohol and a cotton ball or Q-tips. Got it. StazOn cleaner comes in a bottle with a dabber. Let me see. So you wouldn't use that StazOn with a dabber top like to wipe this off, right? That would be too much ink that you would be transferring onto that dauber, right? I'm just saying in theory. But that's here. I have this other quote stamp right here too. That where did it go? Here we go. Okay, let's see. The sky is the daily bread of the eyes. Isn't that perfect for this scene right here? Let's see if I really... Oh, here. That was my cotton applicating Brilliance pad. Okay, now I'm going to use this Brilliance on the matte black right here, so shouldn't be a problem here. Drying or anything like that. All right. I've been working on a lot of new designs and I haven't been stamping, so let me see if I can get my registration right and not have this completely crooked. Okay. Oops. I just smeared that. This is like a glossy cardstock, so I'm getting some practice reps in here. Before I go on to the main thing. Let's see, let me unfold this right here too, like this. And we'll just go, we'll go like right here. For me, if I'm giving this card away, this is like the front of it, and I would sign that portion of it, you know, the back of that. So the sky's daily bread of the eyes. It needs a couple other images on here, you know, like I said, maybe some trees or something like that. Or you can put some, you know, like a little star. Actually, as I'm saying that, that's what I'll do here. Okay. So this is what you call kind of, you know, whatever, sequential aesthetics or pacing or something like that. You have kind of your intro a little bit quiet, and we don't have a, you know, a three-part card here or anything like that, but we'll go with something like this, and you have something that's kind of creating this kind of notion of what's going to be on the interior. That's what we learned in illustration, you know, the book, what you would do for like a book cover for like the intro pages or something like that, and then, you know, whatever, the big climax or something like that's, you know, in the middle or whatnot. So sequential pacing and whatnot. Normally with cards, you know, we normally just do something right on the front, right? And the interior is usually, traditionally, it's less dynamic. You know, you have your you know, to and from in there, you know, maybe a quote stamp or something like that. Other people, yeah, you might add on other things too, but this right here kind of, it's kind of in the spirit of more like storytelling or like a movie or something like that, like a sequential piece, you know, like where it's a, you know, an integral part of the, whatever, the statement, I guess. So something like this. And this might be kind of interesting to add like a little crystal in there too or something like this. But here I'm doing that little, you know, that little Milky Way or something like that. And then, you know, so you have a card like that to people, and they're used to getting like these really great cards from you where you have it on the outside. So when you give them this, they're thinking, wait, you know, they got ripped off, you know. And then you show them this right there. So see that there's that Milky Way right there. Here it is like that. It's like that, and it's like, you know, there it is again right there. So it's kind of carried on in there. And then you can put something like this down here. You know, you put your name or something like this, and it'd be kind of interesting if you put like a couple little stars around it or something like that, you know, where it's like intro, you know, body, you know, like writing a paper, and conclusion right there, you know. There's something like that may be kind of interesting. You know, a little bit of a, like 1 or 2 stars like down here, something like that around your signature, right? I'm trying to think if I want anything else in here. Let's see, can you see? I guess we can kind of see a little bit of those stars reflecting down in here, not too much. Like that brightest star right there is reflecting down in that water right there. See that like that? I don't know, I just love these pieces like this. And like I said, that is not hard to stamp out, you know what I mean? And this is not hard to stamp, but there's 2 impressions on this piece of paper right then, and that's it, you know? You just let the paper do the work, and you just kind of stand back and kind of don't get in its way. Sometimes, you know, things are too crazy, like this paper right here, you know what I mean? This kind of paper right here, you kind of have to tone it down a little bit and mute it out like a little bit. But on something like this, you know, where it's representing, you know, the sky and the reflections down here, you know, just a few impressions to kind of anchor this down here, you know, in terms of a surface, body of water or surface like that, you know. And they can't be open images, like an outline images, you know, otherwise all this is going to show right through them, unless they're supposed to be see-through, right? So just go on with silhouette, you know, style images, solid ones. The more solid, the better. And if it is an open one that you really want to use, then fill in like we did with this and make it into a silhouette, you know, or something like that, right? You could put like little light clouds down here, something like that with, you know, your brilliance ink and like a cotton ball. You know, you can put little clouds up there. I was saying maybe we'd do this, but I kind of like the card just as is. So, yeah. So it didn't take too long, you know. I didn't have too much of this planned out. I knew it was going to be simple and fast, but if I was just to teach this and say, okay, everyone grab their, you know, stamp, and you're going to stamp that twice, stamp out these ones, you know, we could have used even the same island if we wanted to. These are a little bit larger up top there, just because I wanted something with a little bit more body. I don't want like a little dinky one up top there, you know. But these ones down here gave it a little bit of scale and a little bit of... See, what I'm doing here is these trees right here give an area in which for the viewer to enter the scene. And then I put this one over here like this. I like to keep the viewers kind of moving around kind of in this you know, curvy type of motion right here, okay? However way it's going like that. So you kind of keep this going like this, rather than having this island out here and another one out here, which just like a straight line like that. This kind of breaks up the vertical pattern in there. So you just kind of put something in the way like that, but don't block this off completely, you know, where it's like we got to go around it or something like that. You know, just you divert it a little bit like that. And that kind of, you know, it's a good kind of visual path for those, like I said, all those verticals up there with the, whatever, Northern Lights, light pillar type of things like that. Hello, Linda, we were talking about you. I was just mentioning, you know, what you were telling me about the StazOn cleaner. Froggy Fresh's alcohol wipes would wipe this off really, you know, easily too. You know, if we got some kind of impressions down there that we don't want. But hello, Phyllis. Let's see. Happy Tobe uses the StazOn cleaner with microfiber cloths. Awesome, awesome. Some great tips here. And I do need these tips here because I haven't been using StazOn for very long at all. I've had my pad for 20 years though. But just, I don't know, I never used it. Let's see. I can never figure you out. You are early. I'm early today, Linda, because I have to take off right now. I'm taking my kid over to open gym night tonight because my wife couldn't do it. So I needed to do a quick and easy card. But doesn't look, you know what I mean? You don't want to give a card to someone and say, they open it and say, oh, I always tell people you don't want their kind of their response to be, oh, how simple and easy. You know what I mean? We want it to look, oh my God. But in reality, it was easy, right? You don't want it the other way around. Like, oh, it was super complicated, and it was looks like a super simple and easy card, to make. You want it nice and dynamic. So why not do that? Just start off with the right paper and the right reflections, and you'll baffle and astound your recipients. All right. Anyways, Kay, good to see you. Thanks for joining in. That being said, I got to take off right now. Thanks everyone for logging on and checking out the super quick and easy, dynamic, bang for your buck, card to make right here, So, silver kind of cardstock, I think with cooler tone scenes. And if you have warmer tones up here, the gold, the reds, or something like that. The gold cardstock down below is really fun to use to make it extra warm, and that warmth reflects up into those warm-toned holographics up top there like that. But anyways, yeah, I love doing these, and I've made my fair share of them before, but I don't know. It always kind of amazes me seeing this type of reflection because, they're all a little bit different, and it depends on what light you're getting, is reflecting on it. So, yeah. All right, everyone. Have a great rest of evening and weekend. If we don't see you before the next live stream, whenever that might be. New images coming out soon, though, so I'm almost done with those, and I just need to get them out to the engraver. All right, thanks, everyone. Logging off.